wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones and
This is the Talk Beat Jones, and I am Billy E. Jones. And boy, my engineer is just working this up, doing some wonderful things back there. And so I am live right about now. I want you to remember to call us. Be here. We're going to put call in numbers there because we've got the wonderful, the great Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson, MD, from the nose to the toes. He takes care of everything you got. So remember, we're on the air every Wednesday live from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. You can go to that R.J. Watkins page. You hit it. The black and white will come. Then you go to the search bar again where R.J. Watkins, Robert Watkins is there. Hit that. It'll come up red and white, and you will be live with us right now. Just scroll up, and we're live all around the world. And remember, we're also on the air on a Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. on station 15.2. You can also go to that. I use this one because it's worldwide. You can go to that Roku box and see us. And when you see these numbers, family from around the world, you can call in. You got a situation, but right about now, the man that will take care of your situations, the man will take care of your health, the man that says, I love you, become his patient over the air. We got telehealth right here because we got whom? We've got Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson. Hello, Doc. Are you there?
I'm here, Billy, Mr. Billy E. Jones.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning to you.
Yes, sir. Doc, just for those who don't know, because we get new folks all around the world all the time, and they say, Doctor, does he do toes? Does he do the nails? Does he do the head? Does he do the body? Does he do my knees? Does he do my back? Tell me, doctor, what type of doctor are you?
I'm an internal medicine doctor, Billy, and to the audience, an internal medicine doctor, I like to say, does everything from your nose to your toes.
Okay.
Their general practice, they take care of men and women.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with high blood pressure, heart problems, diabetes, stomach problems, cancer, seizures, strokes, everything.
Hey, Doc, we're going to pretend that I'm not here for a moment, okay?
Okay.
So, Mr. Timmy Tim is going to
That'd be hard to do.
Well, Mr. Timmy Tim is going to put your picture up there because right about now we're going to transition to the Health Beat with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson. Doctor, your picture will be coming up in just a moment, and you are live with the Health Beat with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson on the Talk Beat Show.
Now, Billy, we've talked about a lot of different things since I've been coming on. Some have been about women's health. We talked about menopause. We talked about breast cancer. We've talked about some psychological stuff. We talked last week about your toes because I always talk about your nose to your toes. We talked about toenail fungus, about wounds, about the fact that you could get poor circulation, and that might result in an ulcer, particularly if you have diabetes. You could have what we call neuropathy or numbness. One of the things that I always talk about is we want to live as long as we can. I think that everybody wants to live as long as we can. The average life span for an Asian man is 81 years old, Hispanic is 77, and Caucasian is 75, but African Americans, their average lifespan is only 69. It's the lowest of all of the races in America. The same for women. Asian women live to 85, Hispanic to 82, Caucasians 81, but African American 75. So I always want to talk about what kinds of things can we do to live longer and be healthy and be happy. And so I invite all of the callers to call in because I want to talk to you today about something I talk about a lot, and those are the 8 healthy guidelines of living that will help you to live longer. Number one is prayer and meditation. If you pray and meditate, that's going to help get some of the stress off of you, because stress kills. There's no question about that. Read and gain knowledge. That's number two. Read about the big, beautiful bill, H.R. 1. They're trying to lay off nurses. Hospitals are closing as a result of this. Read about H.R. 1, how it's going to affect your insurance. The third one is eat to live. Don't just live to eat. Think about what you're eating and try to go low on the carbohydrates. Look, because that's one of the things that causes the high sugar, which we're going to talk about, because African Americans have a thrifty gene. We hold on to salt more and to carbohydrates more as a result of the history of working in the fields, coming across the ocean. We had to be able to hold on to salt and carbohydrates to stay alive. The fourth one is exercise regularly. The exercise will elevate your endorphins and enkephalins, help you to reduce that stress, keep the weight off of you. So number 4 is exercise regularly. Number 5, rid addictions. And, we know that smoking is no good for you. The alcohol is going to cause liver problems. And the methamphetamine, cocaine, that's going to hurt your heart. Number 6, sleep as much as you can, 8 hours a day. Probably none of us are able to do that unless we're a little baby. But that's the goal Mama always told us. And Mama was right. Okay? Number 7, commune with nature. Get outside, breathe the air, look at the sky, look at the beautiful plants, and that will help you to feel better. The sunlight helps to take away depression. That's a fact. It's been studied and it's well known. And number 8, now so far I gave you 7 things. I didn't even talk about going to the doctor. But number 8 would be get your regular checkups. Get your regular checkups. Now, that would be at least once a year if you don't have any major medical problems. But what should you get in the regular checkup? Well, you should get your kidneys tested. You should get your sugar tested. You should get your cholesterol tested. Hemoglobin A1C will tell us what your sugar is. I think everybody should get an HIV test. Get a test for hepatitis A, B, and C. Okay? Now, when you turn around 50, when you get around that age, we start talking about checking your colon. We've lost a lot of great people from colon cancer. Some of our major actors, some of our, I could go down the list of people that we've lost from colon cancer. And so now they have a test called Cologuard, where you can poop into a cup and send it in, and they check for certain enzymes that are in the stool, and it can give you a sense of the possibility of colon cancer. If the Cologuard is not 100% correct, but it's probably 90%, and if it's positive, then you should have a colonoscopy. Now, something I just learned today is a new test by the same company that makes Cologuard called CancerGuard. CancerGuard. And CancerGuard is a blood test that tests for about 50 different types of cancer. It can test for enzymes in your blood or DNA in a blood test, and it can give you a preliminary idea of lung cancer, breast cancer, uterine, kidney, pancreas, and that's one that's real concerning, pancreas. It can tell a little bit about cervical cancer, bladder cancer, esophageal, ovary cancer. Now, this test you need to, most doctors probably don't even know about it yet. It's called a CancerGuard test. It's a blood test. You can actually ask your doctor, or you can Google it and send in for information on it, and have either the CancerGuard company take your blood, or your doctor can refer you. Now, other screening tests that you should have: mammogram at age 40, prostate cancer test, which is a PSA, at age 40. You should have a heart test, and women should have a pap smear around age 21. That should start and be tested for human papillomavirus, and they should have a pap smear about every 3 years, all the way up to age 65. So those are the 8 healthy guidelines, and then the regular health maintenance tests that you need. I mean, you take your car in for a tune-up, right? Well, you got to get yourself tuned up, because just like your car wears out, people wear out, and we want to make sure that you are healthy, because your health is your wealth, and when you have your health, you have everything. So that's the key, Billy. And we want to take any callers that want to talk about any of these types of things. You know, you asked me something about diabetes. And, you know, African Americans make up 12% of the population, but about 25% of the deaths. And diabetes is a disorder in which the pancreas gland, which is on the left side of your tummy, it doesn't make enough insulin. And there's 2 types of diabetes. There's type 1, and that is usually in young people.
Hey, Doc.
Kids.
Doc, once again, what I'm going to disappear off the screen, and we're going to put your picture back up and let you continue, okay? Because we're doing at this point totally the health beat with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson. Doc, real quickly, are you just a run-of-the-mill doctor, or do you do it all and come back and take your show?
Well, I try to do all the main screening. So, for instance, I do not do heart surgery or brain surgery or any major surgeries, but I do put in the hospital. I'm also a hospitalist at certain hospitals. I do put in central lines. I do open boils and things like that. I do give injections in the joints, because sometimes people really will have a bad knee or a bad shoulder. I do joint injections. But as I said, from your nose to your toes, so that would include the things that I'm talking to you about in your lab test. So that would include diabetes, hypertension, congestive heart failure, ulcers, pancreatitis, hepatitis, lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus, seizures, strokes, neuropathy, all the kinds of things that we have to deal with. Now, when it comes to once you find some of these things, we do refer people to specialty doctors. So a specialty doctor would be a doctor that has the same training as myself, which is you go to medical school 4 years, then 3 years of internal medicine. But say a cardiologist, a heart specialist, he would have an extra 3 years in the specialty of cardiology.
Okay.
And or let's say you went to a neurologist. They might have, on top of the training that I have, a couple of more years, and they can deal with Alzheimer's and seizures and strokes and things like that. So, but when it's necessary, I definitely refer people to specialists.
Well, Doc, I understand that there are some athletes that you have handled, taken care of, even a world champion, boxing champions, and different athletes. Can you kind of course, we're going to go back to what you're doing, but you got a whole hour. Would you kind of describe some of the athletes and some of the circumstances that brought them to your attention? We're going to bring you back on the screen.
Well, boxing, I was able to become friends with a classmate of mine who was married to one of the top boxing coaches in the world. Millicent Hunter is a registered nurse, and she and I went to Skyline High School together. Saw her
On
walking
top of
the
the
lake
hill.
with her husband. Huh?
Skyline Hill on top, Skyline High School on top of the hill.
Yeah, on top of the hill, right? And there are a lot of great athletes that came from there too. But I met the great Virgil Hunter, who has been, at that time he was the coach of Andre Ward, who had been to the Olympics and had won a gold medal. And Virgil was taking him to be a professional boxer. And boxers, interestingly enough, which is a good thing, have to have a complete medical evaluation before they fight. So they have to have a CT scan. Of course, they need to be tested for HIV because they might get cut and bleed on somebody. They have to have, and the CT scan is of the brain. They have to have their eyes tested to make sure that, they don't have a retinal detachment. And some of our great fighters like Sugar Ray Leonard had a retinal detachment, but
He did?
still fought.
Wow.
Yeah, they have to have their heart tested, because you can imagine if you were in the ring for 12 rounds, fighting your heart out, you don't want to have a heart attack or develop some kind of arrhythmia. And what I found is these athletes are in such good shape that their heartbeat is very slow. For instance, a normal heartbeat is between 60 and 100. But when you're in real good shape, your heart doesn't have to beat so fast. And so I would have to do an EKG on the fighters, and their heartbeat would be like 40 beats per minute.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I saw that, I was surprised. But and after Andre Ward, who's now retired and in the Hall of Fame, and these people are at the same level as Floyd Mayweather and in the past what Ali would have been. The gods of boxing sent other boxers, and the gods of boxing, one of which is Al Heyman, sent the other boxers to Virgil Hunter. And I was really the doctor for the team. So Andre Berto, who had he's been to the Olympics, I think he was silver medal. Amir Khan, who also went to the Olympics and went pro, he represented England. And they took me to England with him to fight over there. I went with Andre all across the United States. Angulo from Mexico, I traveled with him. And we did this. We had to do all the same things for the boxers. And believe it or not, when, a couple of them got beat up, I would go to the hospital with them right after the fight. So that has always been a very, very enjoyable part of my practice. And
well, at that time, Doc, you basically was responsible for the life and death of those boxers, and they wanted you there. If something did not go right with them, the medical folks wanted you, one of the best, to be right there at ringside to make sure their boxers have the best of care if something unfortunate should happen. And we do know that, like Benny Paret and a few other boxers who have, I remember Emil Griffith beat a guy and killed him in the ring. You have those circumstances. Folks don't know it's not just a sport, but when those guys step in the ring, it is a life and death potential circumstances. Take it, Doc, back on the screen with you.
Well, and it's not. It is. You think it's an individual sport, that there's just one person, the fighter, but no, you have a trainer who tells you how to swing, how to duck, and the whole goal for the fighter, at least Virgil Hunter's goal and Andre Ward's goal, was hit and don't get hit. And the first time I met him, I said, "You don't even look like a boxer. I mean, he doesn't look like your nose is broke or anything." And he said, "Hit and don't get hit." So that's a real key thing. Now, you on the boxing team, you have a cut man, And the cut man, you see him put that Vaseline over the eyes and on the face. Well, in that Vaseline is impregnated with epinephrine. Epinephrine is a medication that causes vasoconstriction. So you see, it's not the Vaseline that makes the bleeding go down. It's the epinephrine. Sometimes you see them put a Q-tip up to the cut.
Yes.
And that has epinephrine in it, and it causes temporarily the bleeding to stop because of the vasoconstriction. So you got your coach, or who is your trainer, then you got the cut man, you got the doctor, and then you have a fitness trainer that's going to, help you to get in shape just in general, to have good stamina, to keep your weight right, because you have to fight at a certain weight class. And we also had a Pilates expert. A Pilates in Virgil's gym, they teach you how to squat, how to jump, how to move from the left to the right, and those are different muscles that we use on a regular basis. So Pilates person was on the team. Then a massage therapist. You can imagine that your back and your neck and all your muscles are tight. Sometimes there's a chiropractor involved as well. So it's a whole team. It's really a whole team. But those people are kind of behind the scenes. The work that I did was pretty much behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sometimes I would march out, with the crew with all rap music going, and but I didn't wear the glittery suit. I didn't wear trunks.
Okay.
But
we're gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to come back and have you describe more about going out, and it's like we want to infuse folks with understanding who you really truly are, and the people who have trusted their lives with you, as well as just the folks coming in that are sick. Doc, we're going to take this commercial break, and I am Billy E. Jones, and this is the Talk Beat Jones, and I mentioned to you before again, we have Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson, and this part of the Talk Beat Jones is the Health Beat with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson. We'll be back after these commercial announcements. Remember, we are here. When I say we, Billy E. Jones, Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson, MD, on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. There is a repeat broadcast on Sundays from 4 to 5 p.m. on 15.2. You can go to the R.J. Watkins page. You can go to YouTube. Listen, you can watch us right now, but we're going to be back after these commercial announcements on the Talk Beat Jones. And don't forget about that Cash App.
You don't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones, and
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, this is Billy E. Jones, Talk Beat Jones. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on WHPR TV 33 Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
If you enjoy the music, the talk, and the vibe right here on WHPR, we need your support. Help us keep independent radio alive by sending a Cash App donation of whatever you can to $WHPR TV Radio. Every dollar makes a difference. That's $WHPR TV Radio. Support the station that supports you.
Watkins Broadcasting is going worldwide. Now you can watch Detroit's own WHPR on your TV from anywhere in the world. No matter where you are, you can stay in the know with WHPR TV and Roku. You can get your easy-to-install Roku box from wherever you shop for your entertainment gear. Once your Roku box is connected to your TV and internet, go to the channel store on the home menu of the Roku box. Enter WHPR TV in the search engine and add it to your channels. That's it. That's all you need to get the best in entertainment, news, and talk, no matter where you are. Roku brings all of your favorites to your TV. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, HBO Go, and now WHPR TV, Detroit Live. Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. If you're behind on your property taxes, we have programs to help. You don't have to lose your house, and you don't have to pay all at once. This summer, our mobile unit will be visiting Wayne County communities to help make it easier to start a payment plan and keep your property. Go online or call to find the plan that's right for you and where you can get help from our mobile unit. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to foreclosure. Make your payments every month and keep your property.
313watkins.com. Streaming on Roku.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones and
All right. This is the Talk Beat Jones show. Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson, host, will be coming up with his health beat portion shortly. But of course, Talk Beat Jones, we're on air every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And of course, you can watch us on Sunday. Some people like to do it double deuce. During the course of the week, see us on a Wednesday, then pop back and watch us on Sundays from 4 to 5 on 15.2. I do want to remind you, family, I'm serious as my heart is beating. These cash apps that we're asking you to do, when you do that, please place my name, Talk B. Jones. We'll get credit for it. And as we move along throughout the course of the year, we're working, trying to bring home that Super Bowl of the TV station here at TV 33. So Cash App, $ WHPR TV Radio. Once again, serious. Cash App, $ WHPR TV Radio. Now you hear about them talking about the station that is here for you to support you, that gives you all of the love all around the world. Do that. I've got the medical doctor that if you have a situation, some of you are waiting to get into your persons with this telehealth, we have it where you can call right now and get a consultation with the actual medical doctor, H. Jeffrey Watson. I'm going to turn it over to H. Jeffrey Watson, MD, so he can talk to you as we continue to move along on the Health Beat show with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Billy Jones.
Yes, sir.
You know, several of the callers have always asked about how do you know if you have diabetes?
Yes.
Well, what are the signs and symptoms of that? You know, all of a sudden, people start to lose weight. There's two types, type 1 and type 2. And type 1 occurs in kids usually. Type 2 occurs in the adult. And that usually happens either with family history of diabetes or when you start to gain weight initially. And your pancreas, the beta cell in your pancreas can't make enough insulin. I always say it's like having a Volkswagen motor trying to drive a Cadillac body. So it puts strain on the pancreas. And so as a result, the pancreas can't make enough insulin. Signs and symptoms, people all of a sudden start to lose weight. You know, I've had patients come in and they say, you know, my wife is mad at me because I can lose weight pretty quick, and she can't lose weight like I do. And I say, how much have you lost? She said, well, I lost about 20 pounds in the past month and a half, you know, and my clothes are getting better. I'm like, okay, well, let's check you for diabetes. Let's check your sugar. So weight loss, rapid weight loss, peeing a lot. I got to go pee. Now, this is a tricky thing in men because men sometimes, if they're older, think it might be their prostate, and their prostate is making them pee a lot, but it may really be diabetes, so peeing a lot, all of a sudden getting blurred vision. Now, you take a camera, and you know the lens goes out. If you want to get a close-up, it moves one way. If you want to get a shot from far away, the lens goes another way. Well, the eyeball shrinks because the water that's in your eye comes out, and now all of a sudden you have blurred vision. So blurred vision, you want to eat a whole lot. These are the symptoms. Pee a whole lot, you can't help it, and weight loss. And then in a woman, if a woman gets a yeast infection that won't go away, that may be a sign of diabetes because the sugar makes it so that it's difficult for any kind of wound or even under the breast to heal. Now, men who are not circumcised, I've seen them get a yeast infection under the skin at the end of the penis. And that was the only sign that they had diabetes. They came in, they said, man, I think I don't know why, I think I might have some kind of STD or something. And they show me, you know, they pull back the foreskin and they got a yeast rash under there and say, well, let's check your sugar because that can make this kind of thing happen. So those are some of the signs and symptoms. Exercise, like walking, riding a stationary bike, allows this muscle cell in your body called the mitochondria to soak up the sugar, and the muscles burn it, and you get more sensitivity to the little bit of insulin that you have left. So just exercise on a regular basis will lower your blood sugar. So if you got on a bicycle for, let's say your sugar was 200, you got on a bicycle for an hour, it might be 150 when you got off.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So exercise, and the most common drug, that pill that was given, metformin. Studies have shown that kind of exercise may be as good as taking that medication.
Okay.
And people always say to me, you know, I don't want to get stuck on any pills, you know. I don't want to get stuck on that medicine. Well, you got to do some things. You got to look at your diet. You got to do some exercise, keep your weight down. And I have had patients, and this is no joke, who were diabetics. They lost some weight, got their exercise. They weren't
Wow.
diabetic anymore. The diabetes went away. So just,
wait.
you know.
Hey, Doc. Now, this is your prescription from you to us in terms of those of us who say, I'm not taking them pills because I take this pill and I'm looking at 8, 9, 10 other potential side effects for the one thing, for the one problem I thought I have. So to offset this stage of diabetes, when you say it can be offset by your prescription or your thought, is it something that if a person had a long-term diabetic situation that it can be helped or be reversed as such?
Yes, it is. And now, I must say that as you get older and you have diabetes over a period of time, that cell called the beta cell, it functions less and less and less if you have diabetes. And then the sugar has a tendency to go up and up and up when the beta cell isn't secreting enough insulin. But if you do those things that I'm talking about, you watch your diet, the low carbohydrates, you exercise, and I mean the kind of exercise that will burn calories and make your muscles, you know, you can even lift some weights, you can do dance, you can do all kinds of things that will allow your muscles to pull in that sugar, and even if you've had it for long term.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, you know, now a lot of the doctors have people on 2 and 3 medications, sometimes insulin plus pills.
Yes.
And so you might get off of one of the medications. You might get off of insulin, and maybe you just have to take the pill. And then if you keep exercising and lose weight, you get your body down to a Volkswagen body with a Volkswagen motor and not a Cadillac body, you may be able to get off the pills. Now, I don't suggest that you do this without a health consultation. You know, I don't want to just say, oh, he told me to exercise, I'm good, and just throw everything in the trash can. You know, if you have a glucometer, or you have now these devices where you can put a patch on your arm and you can look at your telephone and see what your blood sugar is, and it will record what your blood sugar is, and then you talk with your doctor, and if it's starting to come down on a regular basis, the doctor may, you know, remove some of the different medications and modify some of the things.
So,
but go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so while you're on the air, and a person suddenly hears something and it reminds them that they have this particular ACE problem and they need a consultation, can you talk with them over the airways and have that work for them?
Absolutely. That's what we always done when we were on Soul Beat, if you remember.
Soul Beat Television,
right
yes.
Here in Oakland, and you were on there, and it was a talk show. It was a call-in talk show.
Yes, sir.
And then we had a radio show on a station in Oakland called KDIA, and you could call in, and we would answer your questions.
KDIA, the boss of the Bay.
Boss of the Bay, yeah. So and we duplicated that on TV, where's a call-in. And so if any of your viewers and listeners want to call in and ask a question, I'll be glad to answer it and try to give you some advice on it. So, but I always still
Doc, just one little something, because I'm going to jump out of it and let you complete this. But my question is, because I'm around a lot of folk through the years, and I'm watching different events, sporting events, and going to different, parties, etc. And one thing that we talk about diabetes, that is a question I've had. They say that when urine is having all of these bubbles. Now, my question is, a lot of folk drink a lot of beer at these events. And in their lives, etc., keg parties, etc., and continue to engage in social institutions at times and just drinking some beer. Now, when you're pouring beer, it foams up. So if you put that beer in your body and it comes out, wouldn't there be foam associated with the beer and not just a showing that you have a diabetic type of situation?
Well, that's a good question. beer has a lot of carbohydrates in it, and it has it's made also from hops and barley, which are different kinds of seeds and so on from plants, and it has a carbonation to it also. It has bubbles in it. When you pour a glass full of it, it's carbonated as well. So there's probably a variety of factors. Now, what happens in a person with diabetes, when they urinate, and sometimes you may see the foam, there may be some byproducts of the beer, but the concerning thing is that if protein starts to come into your urine, protein in the urine is a sign that your kidneys are starting to go bad. And so that's one of the things that the doctors check when you have diabetes. They look for protein in your urine, and the higher amount of protein shows us that you're starting to get kidney damage. And that's one of the main problems with diabetes is if you go into a dialysis center where people have to be on a machine, that's because their kidneys failed, and a lot of times that's associated with diabetes and the high blood pressure. So drinking beer, it's going to give you some carbohydrates. It's also got the bubbles in the beer, and so that some of it may transition down. But you want to be concerned when you have diabetes to make sure your urine is checked for what they call proteinuria. And if you're starting to get a lot of protein in your urine, the doctor really needs to check your kidney function. So as I said at the top, and the year is almost half over, and we really needed to think about this. A lot of people, they make their New Year's resolutions, but they don't always keep to them. But how about the 8 healthy guidelines? Number 1, prayer and meditation. That's going to help you to be calm and keep the stress down. Read and gain knowledge. Learn about this H.R. 1. Our country is in a mess, and 10 million people in the next several years are going to lose health insurance. In California alone, 1.8 million are going to lose their health insurance. Read about the big, beautiful bill. Wonder why they gave it that name. Okay. That was to disguise what's going to really happen. Number 3, so 1 is prayer and meditation. 2, read and gain knowledge. 3, eat to live. Don't just live to eat. Okay, so we want to go with a low carbohydrate diet. If you're getting older, you do want to eat some meat if you can with some protein in it, because we start to lose our muscle mass and we need a little bit of protein. Mm-hmm. Certainly fruits and vegetables are going to be good. That's number 3. Number 4, exercise regularly. That'll help, just like I said, that'll help take your sugar down. If you're a diabetic, you might even be able to get off your diabetic medications. That's number 4, exercise regularly. 5, rid yourself of addictions. Now, drinking a lot of beer is going to put weight on you, and it'll give what we call that beer belly. Sometimes that's a result of, sometimes it can be a result of liver disorders, but beer has a lot of carbohydrates in it, and we really need to be very careful with all the different substances that are out there right now. Number 6, try to get enough rest. I know I don't get enough, but Mama said sleep 8 hours, and that'll help you to think better, work better, exercise better, your mood will be better.
Yes.
That's number 6. Number 7, commune with nature. Get outside, let the sun shine on you, breathe the air. Plants have this thing called photosynthesis. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
When you came up in elementary school, and they release oxygen in the air. So get near some plants.
That's why they say that the trees in our neighborhoods are so important.
They are. And Oakland has oak trees. That's what Oakland has. So that's number 7 is commune with nature. And then 8, get your regular checkups. So when you talk about diabetes, hemoglobin A1C, everybody should have an HIV test. Hepatitis, is something that a lot of people, they're not going to test you for that unless you ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to ask for some of these tests. The Cologuard, when you turn 50, that'll check you for colon cancer. We got a new one out called Cancer Guard. It'll test for about 50 different kinds of cancers. It's a blood test.
Wow.
Mammogram when you turn 40. Prostate test with a PSA when you turn 40 in men. Heart test. Get an echocardiogram, a stress test. And young ladies get a pap smear starting at age 21, and then every 3 years, and test for human papillomavirus, test for cervical cancer, test for gonorrhea. And Billy, I asked you this question. I gave you a quiz. What's the most common venereal disease in California?
Ooh. I forgot, Doc.
It's chlamydia.
Chlamydia.
It's chlamydia.
Okay.
Okay, so women don't know that they have chlamydia for the most part, and it can go up in the tubes, into their fallopian tubes, and cause scarring and make it difficult to have babies. So now when we do a pap smear, within the pap smear, they have a little swab, and they put the swab in a jar, and it should test for human papillomavirus, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and take the cells looking for cervical cancer. So all of those things can be tested at one time in a woman when they get their pap smears.
Where does chlamydia, where does it come from?
Well, if it's in a woman, it comes from a man. It's a sexually transmitted disease.
Mm-hmm.
It is a bacterial-like element. Now, in a man, it causes a little burning, and it may cause bubbling in the urine, like you were talking about. But it doesn't cause the pus to come out like gonorrhea does.
Yes.
But it just causes a little mild burning. And before, you used to have to put the swab into the penis to test for it. But now you can, if you ask for it, it can be done just straight in the urine test.
Okay.
You can do a urine for chlamydia and gonorrhea, and you can just pee in the cup. Okay?
Okay.
So these are the kind of things that people need to think about to try to stay healthy, because your health is your wealth. And when you have your health, you have everything. Doesn't matter what kind of money you have. If you go down and you get sick, you get pancreatic cancer. Look at all our great athletes that got pancreatic cancer.
Yes.
And one of the things, we talked about the fact that I do work with the boxers. They do require them to do a drug screen and test for steroids, okay? And baseball, they tested for steroids. They didn't used to, but there were all kinds of things. I also didn't mention, you asked about athleticism. I was on the committee for the National Basketball Association's Players Association.
Didn't know that.
As a physician advisor.
Okay.
And one of the things that my research, they started when they did a collective bargaining agreement with the great Billy Hunter, who was the head of the players. They decided that they needed to start testing the players for drugs and steroids. Now, a lot of people, a lot of our great athletes who developed pancreatic and liver cancers, they didn't come out and tell you. But the research and the data shows that these high-dose steroids that people were taking, that there's a guy in the Bay Area called Victor Conte that made sure that Barry Bonds got these steroids. And when we look at it, there's several great athletes. Now, none of them came out and said it, and I'm not going to say that I'm sure that any of them did it. I'm not going to blame them, though. But my research has shown that these high-dose steroids are associated with pancreatic and liver cancers. Now, who died from pancreatic and liver cancer. Well, Walter Payton did, sweetness. Gene Upshaw, who was the head of the NFL Players Association, did. Several other athletes did. And God forbid, the man that made these synthetic steroids that couldn't be detected on a usual basis, that was Victor Conte, who made a lot of the steroids for a lot of the football players and for Barry Bonds. He just died from pancreatic cancer.
Who is that? Who just died?
Victor Conte.
Oh, yes.
The man who made the steroids.
Yes.
Victor Conte. He just passed away. So I'm not going to step out on a limb and say I know it, but I'm going to guess that he probably got sick from his own invention.
and speaking of,
we've got to be careful about these kinds of things. And young athletes, you got to be careful what substances you put in your body and get it from a reputable. Any vitamins, herbs, supplements, make sure that they're from a reputable place.
And Doc, you came across and you spoke about some of the issues or some of the circumstances, mentioning about this big, beautiful bill. And so can you give the idea in terms of folks who will be kicked off of the health care, what alternatives will they have? I remember you saying that you also are going to have to people who are kept on the insurance will have to work and have to re-register every 6 months or 8 months, something like that. Can you? Yeah. For us out here,
the main issues with the big beautiful bill.
Take it, Doc.
It is that you will have to, if you have Medicaid, and that means you're low income or you're disabled, and you have Medicaid, you're going to have to reapply every 6 months. So if you forget, and you forget that 6 months went by, you're going to lose your insurance, and nobody's going to want to take care of you. You also are going to have to work 80 hours a month or do. Now, if you're disabled or you're poor, how are you going? If you could work, you might not need Medicaid.
That's the question, Doc. If I'm sick, how can I? If I have to get a job, quote, that means from this time to this time, no matter what, I'm expected to be there. But if I'm a person that I'm on a day-to-day, barely getting around, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get from point A to point B, and how can I do this? And Doc, one other particulars, they are closing and close most of these Social Security offices that you need to work through the Social Security office, and you can't get in to get assistance. You got to go through this telephone system, talk about, go to the web page, etc. And, we're talking about folks who are going to be who are sick, elderly, and you're asking them to do these particular type of things, and otherwise you don't have any medical care. It's almost like when they were talking about doing COVID, I'm going to shut up again, almost like when they was talking about COVID and that herd immunity, meaning that those who are weak will die. That's okay. Those who are strong will have a higher immunity and pass that along. So that's what the system was. Let those who are sick and weak die. Let others who are strong continue to live. Please take it, Doc.
Well, that's the elephant in the room, Billy. Our current administration got very upset with the concept of the Obamacare, so to speak, and they wanted to throw it away, but they had nothing to supplement it. So they came up with this.
Got 4 minutes, Doc.
Which essentially is saying throw it away, throw the insurance away. So you're going to have to reapply every 6 months. You're going to have to work 80 hours. Immigrants are going to lose Medicaid. A lot of people are going to lose their food stamps. Hospitals aren't going to get reimbursed. And there's something on the ballot here in California to try to tax the rich, to pay a 5% tax to cover hospitals so that they don't close. The nurses put that thing together. So there's going to be some real problems ahead, and people, they need to read about this, and they need to get ready. I met with social services at a health fair this weekend, and I asked them the question, just like you brought it up. How are they going to keep getting signed up? And she handed me a paper. As a matter of fact, I got it right in front of me. Oh, you can apply online at httbenefits.calfreshcal. You know, I can barely get on the computer.
Thank you,
And
Doctor.
you imagine a poor person trying to go online and renew all this stuff. It's going to be a problem. And that was just set up so that they're going to lose their insurance.
And so all of these folks that are going to be
that's
losing their insurance and such, we want to assure you, family, that we have Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson here on the Talk Beat Jones Health Beat show, and he will be able to fill some of these questions that you will be able to come up with that your other doctors, because they won't be your doctors, won't be taking care of you. So get yourself prepared to call for who you want to have some help. We've got H. Jeffrey Watson, the doctor that will take care of you, telehealth style, on the Health Beat, Talk Beat Jones show. Well, Doc, we're going to do the closeouts, and I like doing it this way today. And so quickly do your closeout, Doc.
Prayer and meditation. That's number one. Read and gain knowledge. Number two, eat to live, don't just live to eat. That's 3. 4, exercise regularly. 5, rid yourself of addictions. 6, get 8 hours of sleep. 7, commune with nature. And 8, get your regular checkups, because your health is your wealth. And when you have your health, you have everything.
All right.
If you listen to us, you will know better. And if you knew better, you could do better.
That's so true. That's so true. Doc, we love you, and we're looking forward to having you on the air Wednesday next week. I am Billy E. Jones, and this is the Talk Beat Jones. Remember, family, don't forget about that Cash app. That's $, WHPR TV Radio. And remember, we're here live every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11, on Sundays from 4 to 5. See you soon. Love you. And if you got a health problem, Talk Beat Jones with Dr. H. Jeffrey Watson, Health Beat. We're here for you. Bye now.
God bless. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
Talk Beat Jones, and I